Welcome to Commerce with Karanta Lane, your complete academy for business, accounting, and economics.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring a totally fascinating, continuous journey that literally every single working professional goes through. Honestly, often without even realizing the deep strategy going on behind the scenes. We are looking at the employee lifecycle, and specifically, we're focusing on how businesses deliberately cultivate and manage their talent. Because whether you're a fresh hire on day one or a seasoned veteran, the ways a business teaches you are highly, highly calculated. And today, we're going to decode exactly how that whole shebang works. So here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. The value of training. 2. First days or induction training. 3. Learning on the job. 4. Training off the job. And finally 5. Choosing the right method. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the value of training. Why do businesses actually invest in their staff? Right, before a business even decides how to teach its staff, it has to understand exactly why it's pouring its hard-earned time and money into its people. Now, in the business world, we tend to throw the words training and development around interchangeably, but they're actually pretty distinct concepts. Training is specifically the teaching of completely new skills. You're starting from scratch. On the other hand, development focuses on the improvement of your existing skills. So both new and existing staff need to be trained and developed appropriately if you want to build a truly strong workforce. Now, you might be wondering, how do we actually prove this investment is worth it? Well, we're going to use a brilliant logical framework. It's simply the X to Y to Z structure. Step 1, you make a clear point. Let's call that X. Step 2, you develop it thoroughly, which leads to Y. And step 3, you arrive at the final outcome, Z. This is exactly how business strategists perfectly evaluate and justify the real-world benefits of investing in their teams. So the crucial point here is how this little formula applies to a real workforce, because there are 3 primary outcomes of a well-trained team. First, you get productive staff. When trained, employees actually work enthusiastically at the things they're good at. For example, staff trained in quality management are going to actively think about improving product standards. Second, you get valued staff. They recognize the employer is spending money and investing time in them, and that leads to way higher job satisfaction. And third, applying our X to Y to Z logic, X, investing in staff, leads to Y, employees feeling valued and wanting to keep developing, which results in our final outcome, Z, loyal and flexible staff. This means labor retention actually increases, which is a massive win for literally any business. But let's be real, it's not all about morale and retention. Sometimes, training is just a strict legal requirement to keep the business's doors from getting shut. We've got a rapid-fire legal compliance checklist right here. Food safety regulations absolutely require safe handling training for ingredients. Businesses have to ensure specific workers have up-to-date first aid training, and anyone working with hazardous chemicals, they must receive appropriate legally mandated training. You simply can't operate without checking these boxes. No way around it. Moving right along to Section 2, First Days, the all-important induction training. The contract is signed, the ink is dry, and now we're looking at those incredibly crucial first few days on the job. Picture a brand new retail worker starting their first shift at Marks & Spencer. As soon as they walk in, their induction training immediately hits them with customer service procedures, product knowledge, store policies, and safety protocols. All of this is delivered as fast as possible to swiftly introduce them to the organization's culture and, what they actually need to be doing. Now, what's really interesting about this phase is the sheer volume of stuff a new hire has to absorb on day one. I mean, it's like drinking from a fire hose. They're touring the premises, they're awkwardly meeting key colleagues, reviewing HR, IT, and finance policies, and of course, going over health and safety. And actually, things like health and safety or big policy changes need to be revisited by employees regularly, even long after this initial induction blur is over. Let's bring out our pros and cons scale to evaluate the strategic value of these initial programs. On the advantages side, a good induction helps the new employee clearly understand their role, it hugely improves their confidence and motivation, and ultimately it reduces the time it takes for them to become a fully productive team member. But on the flip side, it can be wildly time-consuming and expensive to organize. It might not actually cover all the quirky aspects of the day-to-day job, and if it's rushed or poorly done, it can lead to employee dissatisfaction and higher turnover rates before the poor person has even really begun. Okay, on to Section 3, learning on the job, working and training at the same time. So our new hire has survived their induction, they're settling into the building, and now they need to learn the daily ropes while actively doing the work. Think about a bustling, high-stress, high-end kitchen. a new sous chef at the Ivy restaurant receives on-the-job training directly from the head chef. They're learning how to prepare new dishes, properly use the equipment, and improve their cooking techniques right there on the line. They are absorbing skills and knowledge directly from their colleagues while performing actual, real-world job duties. Looking at the strategic advantages, this method is honestly incredibly strong. The training is perfectly tailored to the employee's specific role, it is deeply, deeply practical, and it's highly cost-effective because, hey, it takes place during normal working hours. However, there are some very real risks here. The employee might make costly, embarrassing mistakes while learning live. The trainer could easily pass on their own bad habits, which drags down overall quality. Plus, it can be a massive disruption to the workplace because it requires the experienced trainer, like our very busy head chef, to divert precious time away from their own output just to teach the new person.
Section 4, Training off the job, time to learn externally.
This is the stage in the life cycle where an employee steps entirely outside the daily grind to level up their skills away from the normal workplace environment. Let's look at the education sector for a second. Teachers often attend exam board training days where they learn how to deliver the syllabus and help students prepare for their exams. This takes place completely away from the school, often taking the form of specialized workshops, seminars, conferences, or even dedicated online courses. It's a total change of scenery. So, are these off-site field trips actually worth the investment? Well, on the plus side, learning outside the workplace brings totally fresh ideas and new perspectives back to the firm. It can also be precisely tailored to specific interests and even used as a fantastic reward or incentive for your high-performing employees. But the disadvantages are pretty steep. It can be insanely expensive to organize, especially if flights and hotels are required. The employee completely misses work, which obviously impacts daily productivity. And finally, there's always the risk that the shiny new training might not actually be directly applicable to their daily role once they get back to their desk. And finally, Section 5, choosing the right method, selecting the absolute best fit. All right, we've seen all the strategic tools in the training toolbox. Now, how does a business actually decide which method to deploy? Well, you absolutely must evaluate the specific nature of the role. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. A hotel porter has a very physical, hands-on role. They need to learn the layout of the building and their daily duties fast, making on-the-job training absolutely perfect. Conversely, an employee needing to learn a complex new piece of software requires a completely different approach. They need dedicated step-by-step training sessions from an outside expert to show them exactly how to use it without breaking anything. That makes off-the-job training the clear winner there. Basically, the job itself completely dictates the method. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick question to apply this whole framework to the real world. Think about a specific job role, maybe your own current position, or maybe a career you're aiming for. Based on what we've covered today, which training method would actually work best for that role, and why? Would you thrive learning in the trenches on the job like a sous chef, or off the job like a teacher at a dedicated seminar? Understanding this life cycle doesn't just decode business strategy, it really empowers you to understand and take charge of your own professional development. Thanks so much for learning with me today. Keep asking great questions and keep exploring those fresh perspectives.
Thanks for watching Commerce with Elaine. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons in business, accounting, and economics. Keep learning smart and score that a star. I'll see you in the next video.